we got ourselves an X-Men fan. Maybe a quarter of it happened, and not like this. In the real world, people die.
Logan.
I don't want to talk about it.
Logan.
Just stop.
Be careful. I need the girl.
What girl?
Go get her.
Snick, Bub. Welcome to the Logan Spoilercast. I'm your host, Cal G. And to my left is the coordinator extraordinator,
Mike Kent.
And in this episode of the Logan Spoilercast, we are going to be spoiling Logan, the entire movie, from the Get Out. So if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it. I would recommend this movie.
Yeah, I would recommend it.
It's just for like a short little review there. Go see it if you haven't, if you like that kind of thing. If you don't, I don't even know why you click this podcast, honestly. But yeah, Logan, Hugh Jackman's final run as Wolverine is finally in theaters, and Mike, what'd you think?
I thought it was really good. It is really good. It is good. I don't know. I think I'm wondering, being literally as we've basically just walked out of the theater, whether the movie was spoiled for me just because of like everyone was like writing it out as being the new way that Marvel films and X-Men films,
superhero films in general should be,
we're going to
right?
be running this way now, right? Like it's going to be like these really emotional, heady movies in the way that like The Dark Knight, when that came out, everyone was like, oh, way to bring it to the populace. And when the Marvel films started, everyone was like, oh, way to introduce it to the populace, right? Like this was the new one because we're getting tired of the Marvel Cinematic Universe formula, and we got tired of other stuff too. So I was going through it and it started filling in a lot of the old tropes where I'm like, yeah, there's just a lot of like slashing and hacking. Mm-hmm. I was a bit like, I wish there was less slashing and hacking.
See, I am totally 100% with you, Mike. I think that movie runs a little bit too long, and I think that like one of the action scenes could have been taken out.
Yeah.
However, there was at least one thing in every action scene where
cool.
Where I was like, that's so fucking cool. I guess there's nothing stopping them from being like, okay, take that one where that guy exploded into red mist and like put it in another section or something, you know? Or
you reacted so big to that
because I did not expect it. He just into chunks. What was he
stabbing all the wood in?
To preface this, like the kid is getting chased down by a man like 3 times her size. It was a girl or a guy?
It was a girl.
It was a girl, yeah. And then she's on the ground and she does this like lift up motion, and just like sticks and rocks are coming up, and I was like, oh, it's like an earthbender. She's gonna like fling rocks at him. And then like quills came down from the trees. And then just like they all went into his face, and I was like, "Oh, that's pretty gross." And then he just exploded into pieces, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
She just kept crushing until all the pieces went through, and it just eviscerated him into tiny.
Yeah, bonkers. Just did not expect it. Just did not expect it at all. Yeah, like I was like, "Holy fuck!"
I was just sitting there, and I was like, "Yeah, of course." I was like, "Oh," but you were just like, "Holy fuck!" And no one else said that.
Yeah, yeah, it was awesome. That was like that's what I want when I just want like big shock moments like that, because it wasn't like. It was gory, obviously, but it wasn't like necessarily like over gory, like or anything. It just like he just exploded really quickly, and you're like, "Oh fuck!" I love seeing that shit. But yeah, like that's the thing. They did use like in between all the there is a lot of just like fucking Hugh Jackman's running and slashing, and you don't even see anything really. Yeah. It's just like a lot of
stabbing.
It's just a lot of stabbing, and you can't really do as interesting stuff as you can when you have someone like the Vision and Hawkeye, and you hit them together, and you're like, how would these two fight? There's nothing interesting. It's just like he's a man with knives in his hands, and he's gonna do his thing. Like that is what it is.
No, I mean, it's a movie as a whole. It is still very good. Like there were so many components of it that were really great. So let's just run the timeline real quick. So the movie starts off with an intro of him being drunken in his car. Old man Logan getting jacked, then he has a fight with them, which is fine, and one of his knives didn't come out right. So it's good communication that he's slowed down.
Actually, one thing overall for this movie that I like is they don't beat you over the head with unnecessary explanation to stuff. Yeah. There's throwaway lines here and there that give you a little bit like, oh, someone's poisoning him or whatever the fuck, right? Like something inside of him. Yeah. But it's they never beat you over the head with exposition. They always just like leave it up to you to figure it out, which I love. Yeah, you're right. The claws weren't coming out, and you're just like supposed to be. He never. Wolverine never sits down and is like, I do not heal as well anymore. And then Professor X is like, why did you say that? That kind of thing.
I knew this. Who are you telling this to?
Yeah, exactly. One of those things where they throw in this fucking line of dialogue and you're like, I know, I get it.
He slightly shifts his eye to the left to look at the camera, like he's just like trying to pretend there's no audience. He's like, I don't heal well. Who are you talking to?
Patrick Stewart Wings. Acting. Anyways, yeah, so it starts off with that. And that fight, honestly, kind of like John Wick. John Wick 2 started off with a great fight scene. It was one of the best in the movie, I thought. Whereas this one, the way they started off, was brutal, but it wasn't as like cool as the rest of them. I always kind of think movies are going to open with the biggest punch to really grab your attention.
But again, it's like you were talking about with the story being told to you without giving a beaten over your head or directly told to you, is that he wasn't his usual self. Like in the previous movies, none of those guys would have ever even got a shot on him, or if they did, he would have shrugged it off. But this was like he got hit, and he's tired and slow, and he's hurting.
He's more concerned with the car,
because
that's his job, where he gets money,
to
pay for.
So we learn, like right away from there, that he's trying to get money for a boat, and he's a limo driver, just driving people around, which is. I thought was a really great little like story component. It was like it's really sad, like it's the one thing he could do, you know. And it was just actually kind of a shitty job where he's driving shitty people around. Yeah,
he's driving like prom kids around.
Yeah,
high rich up people, you know,
all that kind of stuff. And it's just like he's just like fucking at the bottom. He's at the bottom of his life. He's just like, this is a low point, you know.
Yeah. And he's doing this all basically to take care of Professor X.
Yeah, which then we learn that's what he's doing, and then we learn about. We get to see Patrick Stewart, and then we see Professor X, and we don't know at this point yet what's wrong, but something's wrong with him. Either he's just, we're like thinking he's too old or whatever, but he's being pounded full of pills and drugs to keep him from freaking out. And
having seizures.
Yeah. And the thing that got me in the beginning was like they were making it out like Professor X's powers were out of control. Like he needed to be locked away to like not hear all the voices or anything. And I'm like, you think after 90 years he might got a clamp down on that one at least, you know? Like, but then they made it into the seizure thing where like he had something's wrong at his age, and now his power's out of control, and it's just like shutting everyone down, right?
Yeah, when he has a seizure, like his mind goes crazy and it paralyzes everyone in the vicinity.
Like another great little like not how to fill the story in. It wasn't like whenever I have a seizure, I freeze everyone's bodily functions, blah blah. Like they had one line where Caliban's like, "I stopped breathing." You know, it was just like It
happens, and you visually see Wolverine powering through it, and you see Caliban over there, and he can't breathe, and you know you get it. Like you get that.
Well, I didn't get what was happening. It was more like he was just frozen. I'm like, he doesn't have well, he has a little bit of telekinesis, but I'm like, he's not like holding everything still, so he's stopping them. But like, what's the pain? Is he causing everyone pain? But then when Caliban said my function stops, and that's the problem. Like he just made everyone literally stop, like breathing, pumping blood, blah. They're just like, right, like.
Well, and there's another line about like his brain is a weapon of mass destruction now. Yeah. Basically, it's classified as that because he's so powerful.
Yeah,
I thought the whole Wolverine and Professor X relationship was really, really good in this movie, and just the really themes good. It brings on of like. I know he's not technically Wolverine's parent, but he's a parental figure to him at least.
He's been a father figure to him, and that's always been the thing, right? Is that,
For sure.
Wolverine has always been Professor X's biggest project in the comic books. Has always been the one that he's been trying to save, the one who's trying to help get past, because like he's the most damaged mutant, the one who's been through the experiments and the worst that humanity has delivered to mutant kind, right? And he's the one he's always wished that he could save.
And it's like, he's taking care of, just like how, you know, we would for our parents one day, you know, if they got Alzheimer's or something, right? Like, or whatever else. Like, that would happen, right? Then that was a really nice relationship, and they let the story linger on that in a couple moments where I thought it was really great. Like, when he brought him up the stairs, like, he's like, okay, I'm just gonna put my dad to bed here, or like, whatever, and he, like, brings him up, and it's like this nice long shot of, like, him just bringing him up the stairs.
It was a good juxtaposition, too, because, like, in the beginning, it makes him sound like Wolverine's just really pissed at him for everything, like, just pissed at him for being insane and an invalid and broken and all this shit. And we don't know why all this is happening, or why even Xavier's here. Like, why isn't he back at the mansion getting help? Right? I mean, we got told that the mutants have stopped breeding, right? Like, there's no more new ones.
There's no more mutants anymore, and they say we don't have a family anymore.
Which either hinted that they were dead, but even then, like, unless they were all killed, and there's a lot of fucking X-Men, and he had a lot of kids there too, who have all grown up. So like, he's has like about 100 kids. That he's raised. There's 100 X-Men, unless he eviscerated all of them in some shot. Like, there's no, like, the comic books where he just stabbed a few of them. There was, like, there should be someone left. Why isn't he still there? What about his money? What about his whole life that he's created for himself before that? Why is he still in this thing? And I liked that a lot later on, is that they started to hint and start delivering that. And they still never give you the whole story.
No, they just...
But, like, there's... he keeps forgetting stuff. And then there's a radio broadcast saying that after he has a freak out in Vegas, that the same thing had happened before with 7 deaths in Westchester.
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
They said, okay.
Like 600 people had been frozen, but there were 7 deaths.
Yeah.
Right, which could be the X-Men themselves. And that was the big thing, is that he killed his team in the seizure. Right?
Yeah, he had a seizure somewhere.
And then now they're on the run to not, because like Logan's basically it amped up that relationship with Xavier. It was like Logan wasn't going to let him go to jail, wasn't going to let this happen. He was just going to run with them. Like, he was like, this man means too much to me. So, like, that meant his death in the movie. So Professor X dies in the movie. He gets stabbed eventually. But, like, that relationship now means more. Is that, like, he grabbed him, he ran. He's like, I'm going to protect this man no matter what. I'm going to take him on a boat. And we're going to run out into the middle of nowhere. And I'm going to live out the rest of his life because I'm partially immune to his crazy seizures.
Yeah, I'm the one who can deal with it, basically,
So, like, that part, I love that. And I wanted...
It was great.
More.
It was great.
Yeah, I almost wanted a little bit more of that. A little bit more of the darker, kind of like them getting stuck. But then again, we did get a good chunk.
We got a good chunk. I appreciate how much was it. And like I said, they don't do these quick camera cuts where, like, he could have been like, let me put my paw to bed, and then cut, and then he's just with the guy going out to fix the water valve, you know? Didn't even need to show that, but it just drives it home a little more. Like, he cares about him, and, like, that is his, like... Yeah. That's why he's doing this.
Or a lot of, like, sitting by his bedside thing.
Yeah.
They did... Actually, what I did like about that whole relationship was with him taking care of him, he was doing the actual things that are required for you to take care of an invalid person, helping him get on the toilet, having to stand outside of the toilet.
Yeah,
him,
yeah.
You know, carrying him up the stairs. It wasn't just like, I sit by the bed and I dab your head slightly and you're always in bed and everything's fine. Like,
True.
Like,
yeah,
that's
the classic movie thing, dabbing their head, yeah.
That's care in movie world, right?
Yeah.
But in this, it was realistic.
Put a wet cloth in their head. They'll live forever.
He's gonna have a seizure. I'm gonna have to forcibly inject him. You know, like, he's gonna have to go to the bathroom. I've got to take him over to the toilet.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, you're right. That was, that was really good, too.
The crotchety Professor X was also great.
Yeah, he had some, like, good, like,
Zingers.
serious movements, good fucking, zingers, like you said, like, just some nice little, in the middle of an argument, I have to pee, like, that kind of thing, like, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff with just their relationship in general.
Yeah.
And again, when he dies and they eventually have to bury him, I, like, that struck an emotional chord with me, where I was just like, fuck, like, Professor X is, like, the savior of mutant kind, he wants the better of mutant kind, and, like, now in this future, whatever timeline this is, fuck the X-Men movies, like, whatever, but, like, whatever timeline this is, he's, like, 3 feet under in a shallow grave they had to dig in the middle of a fucking, like, forest, you know? It's just like, oh my god, that's so shitty that, like, that's how he ended up, you know?
Yeah.
And his whole legacy did, and he really wanted to see X-23, Laura, take out, to, you know, get to her, Eden.
Eden, a safe place. No reason that, I mean, Hugh Jackman is Wolverine, will be for all of us in our mind for years. He was amazing as usual, like...
Yeah, he did a great job.
We don't need to really ram that one back home. He was great again. It was just nice to hear him swear and stab things properly.
Yeah, exactly. He got to swear and got to stab things.
Yeah.
The very end of the movie, they shaved his
goatee down with the metal piece.
Yeah.
So
he had the 2 mutton chop type things. Yeah, that was a nice little nod.
Yeah.
I appreciated that. It was good. It was a good story reason too. The kids are because the kids read the X-Men comics and he had that in the comics, and they're like,
all, like, play around and, like, mess up his face. X-23.
Good throughout the whole thing. I liked her a lot.
Yeah. Her first initial fight sequence was badass.
Yes, totally. Awesome.
After that, it was a little bit like... I was like, I wanted more of that. But what I liked about that first initial fight scene, like I said in the car, was I liked how she was... this is going to hit on one of my negatives later on, but anyways. How she was, like, fighting stealthy, I guess is the term. Like, it wasn't stealthy. I mean, they all knew where she was. But, like, she was fighting tactically.
She was agile as well, yeah.
It was a tactical fight. Like, she would run inside and then slide through the thing and then, like, stab one person and roll away and stuff. And, like, she can take hits, but...
And she would flip with them and then, like, and when she was on the ground, like, slit someone else's thighs open and then keep moving.
Using her speed and her agility and everything like that. Like, I was like, this is how she would fight because she's so small. This is brilliant. And, of course, they would train her this way. So I was really hooked. I was like, oh, yeah, this girl could totally take down people.
And I thought the CG...
And her walking out with, like, the head.
Yeah, when she rolled the head at people, that was fucking awesome. That was ruined in a trailer, but, like, still cool. Also, the CG of her flipping was always quick enough that it didn't look bad. No. You know, it was obviously CG because she's, like, a tiny child and can't do the things that she was doing. But, like, yeah.
It was just, like, sort of throwing a kid around.
It amazed me that, like, it didn't continually look bad to me. I was like, every time it was happening, I was like, ooh! It looked good. You know what I mean? Like, it was. Yeah. She had a lot of cool fight scenes. I even like.
They just stuck a kid around and just like, she's tiny, fling her, wee.
Just get the Rock to throw her off like the fucking screen.
Yeah.
Just like Colossus and fucking Wolverine. Yeah. So that was all great. Oh, that could be cool actually if Colossus ever gets to meet X-23. He could actually throw her like a ball because she's so tiny.
He just kind of crumples her.
What's that called? What special?
Fastball special.
Fastball special, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. X-23 was good throughout the whole thing. She's mainly mute until a certain.
No, but she communicated a lot. Like I thought she was mute for being her not switching from not mute at the end was the best measure because at the beginning her being mute was fine, but then I'm like, all right, she can't just be mute because this will make this little girl actress have like luckiest role on Earth where she doesn't have to act.
Yeah, she just has to like look at a furrowed brow.
Yeah, but she was still really cool. Like I've never been a fan of X-23 in the comic books. I've always kind of thought it was a dumb move, just to like a female Wolverine, like a female Thor. I'm like, just make another.
No, but she came way before that trend hit.
No, I know, but she's part of that like that circle in my head.
She is now. Her comic is good actually. Just as a side note, the one she took over for Wolverine in the comics. But yeah, she was great. And then like, fuck, I had a point I want to make about her. Now you go.
Well, we should think about it. But I grew to like her so much. Like that initial fight scene, I was like, oh, she is badass. And then like she was so much like Wolverine. The girl really, through her motion, her range of combat, and everything that she did, really conveyed him like this is his daughter. This is what Wolverine babies would look like and be like.
Yeah, savage.
Savage. And
I liked how like Berserker Barrage she went when she was fighting X-24.
Yeah.
Just he's down on the ground and she's just fucking. Like clawing over and over again, just like fucking wildly. Like no, there's no tactics anymore.
No.
It was just like pure like rage.
The bad guys were the Reavers, which I thought was a nice, clever way. I thought they were going to be. Do you know who the Reavers are?
No, I think you explained this to me one time before.
So like way the fuck back, right? They came in before this, I think, but like where they were a big component of the X-Men universe for a while was when Magneto took over the X-Men and they had to go on the run and they thought the X-Men were dead for a long time, and it was like the team was like Havoc, Storm, and like Cyclops kept doing that whole fucking Madeline Pryor bullshit. And anyways, it was a good time, and that was Mohawk Storm period.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah. So during that, they keep running into the Reavers a lot, and the Reavers are humans who basically are cyborgs, right? And, Lady Deathstrike's one of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and but the thing that I didn't like about these Reavers is that all of them basically just had replaced arms.
Yes.
Like, we all just replace arms. That's our augmentation. I'm like, but you have other limbs and other parts. What about an eyeball or fucking anything?
Well, the only Reaver at all that was expanded upon, even the slightest, was fucking what's his face, the main one.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
I don't even remember his name. And he wasn't an in-depth character by any means. He was just kind of a dickhead.
But they were really creepy bad guys in the comic books because like they would take other people and turn them into cyborgs and shit and stuff like that. And they did a lot. Like they constantly kept on converting people. It was almost like a fucking Borg thing. But the level of change that they would do in the comic books, like one guy was literally just half a human torso and then like this little like stump that led into a tank tread. Those were his legs.
He was like the animated Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
The Triceratank.
So he was a human Triceratank. But that's what I mean is like they were just like super duper like
interesting,
weird and fucked up looking and really cyborgy. Like half of a body would just be pure android or something.
And that's even more confusing. Let's talk about a negative for a while. That's even more confusing because they could have easily introduced a Reaver that was a full cyborg that could have been made of adamantium or something that was hard for him to defeat and not had X-24. There are a lot of options that you could have done.
Could have done without that.
Without X-24.
So we'll hit on the that being the most glaring negative, but that's the thing too, right? Like they start off and he's like, I've been augmented as well, and I'm like, you got a metal hand. That's literally no contending to like any of the people you're about to fight.
Yeah, exactly.
You have no upper hand.
That's why you come to the podcast. Top quality puns like that.
But then, like, when they went over all the Reavers, every single one of them had one metal arm. Like, not even two metal arms. They all had, like, one.
I think there might have been, like, some, like, robo-cyber stuff going down some of their chests and stuff, but never anything that was, like, he has an advantage, or, like, this guy. There was never...
No. And they were never really a threat beyond...
They were disposable grunts for them to slash through.
Which is fine. They're supposed to be. Like, even in the comic books, Reavers do get pretty much wrecked constantly. They're supposed to be, like, a big army of just cyborgs. But, like... They don't contend as a threat beyond any human. They just had metal arms, and it was like, okay, why are you guys special? So it made them too foddery and too unremarkable. They're just like, we don't have the budget to like cyborg you guys up more or something. But I'm like, just give them a boot.
I wonder if there was a tank man in there. I wonder if that just would have taken away from the grounded, gritty tone they were trying to go for. You know what I mean?
They didn't have to do tank man, but I mean, like one guy could have like half a pant, and then his leg would be a metal leg or something like that, right? Making it seem a little bit more intimidating. Like, hey, by the way, you could also kick hard and maybe punch hard or something. But the thing was, the limbs never even really did anything. He never had a moment where his limb was like, all right, he overpowered Wolverine or X-Men.
Nothing, yeah.
Like, the limbs didn't show.
They might as well been regular humans.
Yeah, they were just like paraplegics. Like,
yeah, exactly.
An army of paraplegics, which is nothing to say that's not threatening, but like, if you're going to have these...
If you're going to fight Wolverine, that's not threatening.
No, like, let's have something more than that. which led to them creating a bad guy, which is the only truly, honestly, and it drops it like a bunch of points for me, bad guy.
Yeah, they did the thing where, can we have the main character fight himself? But like a bad version. Like Iron Man, but bad Iron Man. Oh, okay. But like bad Ant-Man? Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But like the bad Hulk.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, bad Wolverine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the only contender for Wolverine is another Wolverine. It's
Yeah.
like, well...
No, there's a lot of things you could have done.
And then it was just a straight clone, which was also just fucking dumb. But yeah, like, we didn't need this grand monster. The threat was there. Like, Logan's worn out. He can't contend like he used to.
Mm-hmm.
Professor X is practically insane and barely can use his powers, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, like, they're on the run trying to save this kid. Like, that's the goal. The goal isn't fighting in a bad guy. It's like, let's get this kid out of here.
Yeah, it just seems so unnecessary.
Yeah.
You know, I guess, and again, even like the big thing he did was murder Professor X and the family there that you were getting an emotional bond with, and like again, that could have been done with any of the Reavers. They could have just gone to there and like as soon, you know, Professor X is giving his like moving speech about remembering killing the X-Men, and then all of a sudden just pop him in the head with a fucking gun, like, you know.
Well, I even thought like when the scene first happened.
Although I did like that he was like when Professor X was on the bed and he was like, it wasn't me. Like I thought that was kind of like affecting. To be fair, actually, that's probably the only good part that came out of X-24.
It's probably, yeah, you're right.
I did like that Wolverine had to like,
But
he was desperate to like say like it wasn't me who killed you.
I thought it would have been a little bit more like moving to and more of that talk towards Professor X's senility if he made mistaked one of the Reavers coming into the room as Wolverine, because like his own dementia is kind of kicking in, that kind of thing, right? And then like that's what he saw. And then, like, right before he dies, he realizes how fucked up he is because he just realized that he killed the X-Men. He's trying to remember, you know, he's realizing that, like, how out of control he is. And,
yeah.
You know.
That would be really sad.
And then, like, he gets killed. He's like, he mistakes someone for Logan and then clicks out and he's like, oh shit, I am that fucked up stab, you know, like, and that would have kind of been a little bit more moving than just like, hey, by the way, here's this unnecessary big bad. Because the threat was never... I never sat back and thought, like, because that's the same thing with Superman or any of the characters who were practically indestructible. It's like, oh, there is no such thing as a threat. This whole movie, I was never not afraid of the bad guy. Like, I was always like, you guys got to get moving.
Yeah, they've driven the point home enough that Wolverine doesn't heal very fast anymore. Yeah. So, like, yeah, things are a threat to him. When he gets a shotgun in the blast, you're like, oh, fuck, that's going to slow him down.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, like, for his whole healing thing and, like, the poison inside of him, we know from the comic books it was supposed to be a skeleton, right? Because he's always constantly been fighting, regenerating against it, which is great. And that was fine. I mean, anyone who's seen the comic books knew about that, and anyone who didn't, you know, surprise. And they did a good job with all that. There was scar tissue on him, and like, the healing. Like, that was all great. I thought the one thing that got me was in the last half of the movie, he just kept going to bed.
It was, I mean, realistic, I guess, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, he passed out a lot for a while there.
Yeah, like in the beginning, he was at least like I kind of wanted him just to keep healing.
But he was getting even more worn, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like, but he just kept going to bed.
Yeah, well, he needed to.
Yeah, I know he needed to. Like, I wouldn't have minded if when he got to like the way station with the kids, like he had a couple days of rest to get himself back in a fighting level again or whatever. Yeah. That's fine. But like all the way up there, like halfway through, he just started constantly going to bed. I'm
not done bitching about X-24 yet for a second.
No, yeah.
Well, Hugh Jackman is great at Wolverine rage faces. He does really good rage faces. He does really like believable grunting and like Rah! And like stabbing noises and all this stuff. And when he was, I'm assuming it was him playing himself as X-24. When he was doing that, he was almost like a fucking mentally disabled version of Wolverine. Yeah. And I get that it was like a soulless monster clone thing, right? But it was like distractingly bad. He had a dumb look on his face, and he just kept like, yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I think it was because they were like, oh, a soulless machine, but then they started talking about it like it was a child. Like they were like, this is a child too. It's just we aged it, and it's like we just made it into one singular goal.
Yeah, it has rage.
So like it is like a baby basically, which would have worked. That would have worked way more if it was just like a flailing child.
Yeah.
Right? In a full-grown adult body. And that would have been down. I would have been like, yeah, okay, totally. But they were placing it out more like a cold, methodical machine, right? In the beginning, that he couldn't control, and then later on, he's like, "You killed my daddy."
Yeah, you know, when the father doctor figure dies, and
and you're like, where was that connection and why? And
yeah, it was kind of out of nowhere.
You didn't preface this in any context. You just basically said you had a cold machine that was calculating. Or like left to just be a bomb that you set off at someone, right?
Yeah.
Like, and now suddenly it's got some sort of emotion behind it. And Hugh Jackman's probably trying to communicate that by going like, "Oh, I'm supposed to be like this childlike character that's, you know, just filled with rage. So he's trying to do two contrasting things with a character with very little backstory.
Yeah, I guess so.
And they just made him up. Like, it was just not necessary. They were just like, another one. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. It was very much like, okay. And the fight scenes against X-24 weren't the coolest ones in the movie at all. So, like, another one of my favorite moments, actually, we didn't hit on was when Professor X is seizuring in the hotel room and Wolverine's making his way up, going in the elevator, and everyone in there is just like, they're all holding guns, they're about to fire, and he's just slowly going through and just like stabbing people really slowly and just fucking...
He's trying to hold himself up.
Yeah, and he's clawing the walls to try and get there and shit. Oh, fuck, that was an awesome scene.
And then he gets in, the guy's like turning his head, and he's like, I can't move. And
yeah,
he's just, like,
he turns his eyes. Oh, fuck, yeah. That would be horrifying.
And that's great, you're right. Like, that stuff's awesome, and that was the Logan movie I was looking for. When X-24 showed up, it became a Wolverine movie, and it was just about the.
It became like the end of like Origins, where they're like, "Here, we give Deadpool knives on his hands and he can teleport. There, go at it." You know, totally. But I'm not letting that. Like, I agree, it lowers the movie like a point or two because, I think Wolverine or Logan. I think Logan is a solid 8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the future of superhero movies. I don't think it's the new Dark Knight by any means. I think it's very good. And I think it does a lot of things really well. But yeah, X-24 alone, I think, is just like... It was kind of ruins big parts of it. It
was the last 3 quarters with the X-24 stuff that just... It felt like they were looking to kind of Marvel superhero it up a bit. Like, they had kept that tone of what we were expecting up until that point, right, with the family and everything. And everything was wrestling with the emotional problems and stuff like that. And then just... poof, they went full action movie. And it's fine. They need to have a big action-y ending. That's not the question in my mind. But it could have just been Wolverine chasing, like, being like, oh, you go, I've got my own shit to deal with, and then chasing the kids down and sacrificing himself.
Also, this is just my own, like, wants and needs in Logan that I wanted to see happen, but I would have really appreciated there to be some sort of Sabretooth something, because him and Sabretooth have such a fucking... storied past.
They never built that up, and well, they did, but like badly.
Yeah, I don't think they needed to though. I feel like this Logan movie was almost in its own again, like alternate. Like here's an alternate future of like what might have of Wolverine. They could have a totally different Sabretooth that he I think they could have done that well, where like maybe he visits an old Sabretooth or something, and they're like they have to bury the hatchet or something, something. I really wanted Sabretooth to be in this movie. Yeah. I was hoping, but
I wasn't expecting it, so I don't feel.
I don't think I was expecting it, but I wanted it for sure.
Another small stupid gripe in my head though is that all the kids are running and they're all getting taken down and shit. Now some of them, like turn people into goo. Yeah. But that's just their power. Why was X-23 the only one who could fight? Like, she's not genetically built to know how to do a triple backflip.
Yeah.
Like they said that they trained them all to be weapons and train them all how to fight. So if that's the case, they should all be able to fight.
There was a scene, there was a chubby black kid in there, and like there's a scene, and it kind of lingers on the shot for a little bit, and he's running towards the camera.
Kid running?
Yeah, and the guy's like gaining ground on him.
Get the fat
and
kid.
I was like, oh, he's gonna do something badass. He's gonna have some super sick power. He just trips and falls over, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess
you're just chasing down fatty.
I was like, maybe he's one of those people who have like a terrible power, like he can sprout flowers or some shit, But he had electricity that was revealed after, and I was like, why didn't you fucking use that, bitch? But yeah, I thought that was a weird
looked
scene.
like you were just chasing down the fatty kid.
Yeah, it did. It was
the
a weird
fat kid.
scene.
Get him first. He'll be the easy one. Like, it was a little weird, and it did hold on it for a long time.
Yeah. It was weird. Also, I like the end when all the kids fucking kill the main Reaver dude. Yeah. That was great, because it was like, they're just like, fuck this guy, and like, every power. They're just getting frozen. He's like, frozen in like
grass.
He's psychically frozen. He's literally getting frozen by the girl who has like freeze breath. The grass is like entering his body. Yeah. And electricity as well, I believe. Yeah.
A whole bunch of shit. Although, I think that to be the actor girl who had the frost breath at that moment, because basically, without any CG, she's just walking around going...
I know. I thought the exact same thing. Do you think that's just a thing because we watch so many movies and we actively think about the background process?
Maybe.
It almost like ruins it a little bit, where you're like, oh, that's real dumb.
Well, it could have been the director's thing, because like him making okay, when you use the power, what are we gonna do? Let's work this out. Like, is it gonna be a how about ha?
Yeah.
And that open mouth thing I thought was a little dumb, because like it was almost supposed to be making her aggressive, like she was like growling or gnarling out frost, but that's not a good communicator for that power.
No, because also if you blew frost like that, like when you go
Yeah.
Like, your breath kind of dissipates,
Yeah.
whereas you blow, like... But also her blowing on him in the end screen would probably be, like, weird, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're experts. So, like, they could have figured out a more interesting way of doing it.
Totally.
Right? It's just, yeah, like, all the time I was a little bit like, okay. But still, very cool, very good movie, all in all.
Yes.
Really enjoyed it. First 3/4 of the movie is, like, emotionally carrying, very character-driven, and doesn't hammer you over the head with anything.
No, that's one of my favorite things with the movies. I think it takes the audience, gives them credit, gives you a little credit, like, you'll figure this out, don't worry about it, that kind of thing.
And also leaves it up to you to fill it in. Like, like the answer isn't given, so, like, you're like, oh, is it like this? And then someone else will talk with you about it. But, Xavier's death was extremely sad, and not just, like, I mean, you're right, like, to hit the greatest man in history of mutant kind, is just left in a lonely grave in the middle of nowhere is this part of the sad part. But also, like, when he died, like, at the end, no matter how demented he got, he found one child and one new mutant again, and he was right back. He's like, I'm the professor.
I'm going to help her,
I'm going to psychically teach her English and all sorts of other shit while we drive in the car. Like, he dumped information into her, clearly. And all sorts of other things like that, right? Like, it was so sad to see, like, this great man and this great figure, because Xavier represents so much for us inside of the entire continuity. Like, he's one of the most important characters in Marvel.
Yeah, totally.
Like, to see him like that, it was very interesting. To have him die, it was very sad. And even Logan's death was actually quite sad.
Yeah.
It was a little bit too soft-spoken. I spent a lot of the time with Wolverine's last words, like, going, what the fuck did he say?
Yes, me too. He was very whispery at the end there.
Yeah.
And I liked the whole, like, when she was walking away from his grave and she turns across it to an X. That was nice.
That was cute,
yeah. Nice little touch there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is, if not the best X-Men movie out there, even though it has no X-Men in it except for him, it's the second best for me, I think. Like, I love X-Men First Class a lot. That's my favorite right now.
Yeah.
And then probably this.
This is my favorite X-Men movie by far. Definitely, for sure. And you're right, like, First Class, maybe
Days of Future Past.
Days of Future Past, those resonate around the same area for me. I mean, like, in the realm of superhero movies, like, those movies sit way down at the fucking bottom.
Yeah, they're lower for sure.
Yeah. But, I mean, Logan in itself, despite X-24, sits within the Marvel MCU class of movie, superhero movie.
Yeah, I think so too.
Which is amazing. Like, it sits with the Ant-Mans and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's very good, and I can see where the reviews came in very hot for this one. A lot of 10 out of 10s. A lot of people, exclaiming this is going to be going forward, the next superhero. This is how films will be, or whatever, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And maybe we were both a little tainted by that because the reviews were so positive. But I'm honestly not sure about that.
The big review that got me with it was everyone was like, this is a comic book translated directly to film movie. Mm-hmm. And I read the Old Man Logan stories and all that stuff and the Weapon X's and this exact story. Now, I didn't think they were going to do it panel to panel.
No, I mean, they can't, right? No. They don't have Hulk, they don't have Hawkeye.
No, I didn't think that that was what was going to play, what they meant by that. I thought they were just going to be like, this is, like, if you were going to have a comic book, this is it as a movie. I got that in the beginning, but then when it switched back to Hollywood at the end, like, it broke it so hard for me. I think that jarringness for the first time watching it through is what broke the movie down a bit. The second time I watch it, now that I'm prepared for it, I'll probably go back and start noticing smaller details in the latter half of the movie that I didn't, like, I was being harsher on, because I'm like, stop Hollywooding, stop making this into a cinematic thing. Like, keep back to the comic books, like, centric vision you had in the beginning. I'll probably like it more, but nevertheless, still, like, again, great action, actors all doing great, really great dialogue, and an awesome way to send off Logan.
Yep, I think so too. Yeah. So, if you were interested in it, go see it.
I highly recommend going to see it. We're griping on small things because we came here for a review. It's not like we're going to sit here and just be like for half an hour. It was great.
Yeah, exactly.
Was it great, Cal? It was great.
It was great.
It was good.
It was good.
It was so good. Great. Go see it. Good movie. Great.
All right, so if you want to find me, I'm on Twitter at @TheCalG. Mike is at Mike Kent Draws. And you can find Pens and Pixels Podcast across all social medias, Pick Your Poison.
Be sure to comment on SoundCloud or iTunes.
Or YouTube.
And YouTube. Of course, I have a YouTube channel, so this will be up there as well. And we'd like to hear from you guys. Want to hear your opinions, hear what you guys have to say, what you thought about the movie, what parts did you like, what parts didn't you like.
Did it live up to the hype?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
We love having discussions, guys, so seriously, like, say something. We will respond. We aren't like the other ones who are like, comment, so you just add to the comment section.
We need community engagement so we can get more YouTube revenue.
Yeah.
Berserker Barrage, everybody.
Berserker Barrage.
Have a great week.
Etc.